Hey everyone, I'm finally excited to be able to talk to you about Fear Street Part 3, 1666. Now, I saw this a few days ago. It is now available on Netflix, and I can finally talk about it. They wanted this embargoed until day of release, of course, to avoid potentially any spoilers. But don't worry, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm so excited to dive into this and the trilogy as a whole, which is all available now on Netflix. But before we get into it, I'd love it if you take 1 second and hit that subscribe button if it's your first time here. And if you enjoy the content, go ahead and hit that notification bell. Okay, let's talk about the Fear Street trilogy. Hey, Tessa from MamasGeeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Now, as a fan of R.L. Stine books, listen, I read Goosebumps and then I graduated to Fear Street. I was over the moon excited when they announced this trilogy. I thought it was a very unique, a little bit risky of Netflix to do this, 3 movies in 3 weeks, a trilogy. Are people going to get burnt out on Fear Street? Did they even know if people were going to like Fear Street? I mean, it was very smart, but risky and definitely unique. Now, I've got to say, I'm very happy at the way that these all turned out. First, let's talk about Part 3, 1666, and just the fact that this really pulled everything all together. The majority of the movie does take place in 1666. However, then they do jump back to this 1994 timeline where we see everything really all come together. As described in the synopsis, the 1666 storyline tells the origin of the Seraphire curse, so to speak, right? Gives you the full story. And so to see it all come together, everything, little bits and pieces from all of the other movies, really all coming together to form this story. And again, I'm not giving spoilers, but to form it all together was absolutely amazing, absolutely brilliant. Little bits and pieces were predictable. Like in the moment I was like, that feels like a strange thing to say, or that feels weird. But then so much of it was twists and turns that I didn't see coming, if that makes sense. Again, I'm keeping this spoiler free, so it's a little hard. If you guys want to get spoilery in the comments, making it clear that nobody can read it that hasn't seen it, with the dots, I'll answer some stuff spoilery in a reply. But I think you guys know, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I just really enjoyed how it came together. All 3 of them came together. Now, in 1666, I will say I'm glad they didn't spend the whole time in that time period, because honestly, that time period was a little for me. It was a little slow. There were some moments that I felt like hurry up and get there. The accents weren't the best, although that's nothing to dwell on because that's just really being nitpicky. But I was excited for them to bring it forward and really tie the entire story together in the quote-unquote present day, the 1994 day. Now, if you guys haven't already watched this, make sure to stick through the credits because there's some fun stuff here and there, and then something really fun at the end that shows where possibly Fear Street could go in the future. Now, as a fan of R.L. Stine, there's a lot of Fear Street storylines that I absolutely loved and enjoyed, and I like that this one was unique and original, but really feels like it could have been plopped into either one book or a trilogy of books from R.L. Stine. It feels like it makes sense. It felt very much like a Fear Street story. It was cohesive. It came all together as one wow moment. And then, of course, you've got everything in there that someone who's a fan of slasher movies is going to love. You've got blood and gore and crazy kills and just several different crazy murderers, right? Several different killers that all have a supernatural bit to them, right? Obviously, we've seen them in the first 2, they die, but then they come back and you're like, what is going on? What is happening here? So, really enjoyed that aspect of it. And honestly, as a trilogy as a whole, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. This movie itself, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5, which is what I gave the second one. I think the second and the third acts or trilogies movies are stronger than the first movie in the trilogy, but still I gave the first one a 4 out of 5, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. The soundtrack and the cinematography, just as with the first 2, are just as good here in the third one. There's some really great songs when you kick back to 1994. I think the 1994 songs are my favorite. That's probably just because I'm a kid of the 90s and I really love that stuff. And putting it to crazy, murderous chases and stuff like that is just, it makes sense and it's perfect. So I'm going to stop rambling because I'm afraid I'm going to give some spoilers. But overall, man, if you love slasher, fun, horror stuff. You're going to love this trilogy. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely dive into it. They're all available on Netflix. And for those of you who are waiting, is it going to be tied up perfectly in the third one, or is it going to fall apart? No, it ties up perfectly. And I'm excited. I hope that they do more of these things. Again, it was very, very risky of Netflix to put 3 movies in a trilogy out. Boom, boom, boom. You know, people could have easily gotten burnt out in the series. And I didn't. I was eagerly awaiting the next one. And I'm so glad that it really was the perfect ending. Perfectly tied everything together. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of fun. And I have my fingers crossed for more Fear Street, because this was an absolute freaking blast from start to finish. You guys let me know what you think down below in the comments. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. You can follow me over on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at MamasGeeky over there. MamasGeeky. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.